MMORPGs are massive games, and Guild Wars 2 is no exception. Between early-level missions, open-world exploration, in-depth class customization, challenging party dungeons, large-scale raids, and fast-paced player versus player, this game has it all, and then some. And if this is your first time playing Guild Wars 2, or an MMO in general, you might be feeling overwhelmed. But fear not, for I, your humble Guild Wars 2 veteran, is here to guide you through almost every facet of the game, and give you recommendations while you journey through the lands of Tyria. So, let's not waste any time and jump right in. For transparency, this video was produced in July of 2025. Systems and sections may receive updates due to class balance and general systems updates. Creating your character is a practice in imagination and creativity, or depravity if you like to see how far you can push the limits of a game's customization. Beginning your journey, you will select one of 5 races. Humans, a race of nobles and ruffians. Norn, hulking Norse-inspired peoples who commune with the spirits of nature. Char, anthropomorphic feline savages who approach conflict with tooth and claw. Asura, small, big-eared creatures who tower over the world with their intellect. And the Sylvari, a magical race of plant-like humanoids who approach life with curiosity and wonder. The race you pick has no bearing on the combat experience and is purely for directing your personal story and overall aesthetic. Next, you'll be tasked with choosing your profession, Guild Wars 2's name for a class. Your options include 3 soldier professions: the Warrior, Guardian, and Revenant if you own an expansion, 3 Adventurer professions, the Ranger, Thief, and Engineer, then 3 Scholar professions, the Elementalist, Necromancer, and Mesmer. Warriors are masters of weaponry and physical combat. From firing at enemies while at range to hacking foes with dual axes, warriors know how to handle a brawl. Guardians are holy knights, versed in defensive spellcraft to bolster their allies and mend wounds. With their zealous fighting style, they hit their enemies hard and scorch them with divine burning. Guardians are an excellent choice for those looking to trade a good few blows and pull for their team. Revenants are mystical soldiers, channeling the powers of ancient and legendary figures from the story's past. Depending on the legend you channel, you are able to tailor your role in combat. Be it a tanky bruiser, lethal assassin, or a pacifying healer, Revenants are versatile combatants. Rangers call upon their loyal pets, deep connection to nature, and their keen eyes to take down enemies from afar or duel them up close. A ranger's combat experience is colored with deadly traps, adaptable survival skills, and summoning spirits to buff allies. If you like the classic arrow-shooting pet taming class, rangers are a perfect fit. Thieves evade their way into the fray with a shadowed blade, ready to strike. These shrouded fighters are experts with poisons, deception skills, and employing tricks to gain the upper hand in a fight. Fast-paced combat with blades and bolts is in the thief's name, and it just might be your game. Engineers utilize their brains and creations to solve a fight, and do it to the sound of thunderous gunfire. From turrets, elixirs, to the wide array of weapon kits, engineers have the tools for any job. If you're into the more steampunky inventor, engineers are going to be your favorite pick. Elementalists are powerful spellcasters who are masters of the elements of destructive fire, supportive water, furious air, and grounding earth. Incanting spells from afar with their staff, fighting foes in melee combat with their magical daggers, Elementalists cover a wide spectrum of mage-like combat archetypes. Necromancers, the practitioners of the dark arts, summon fiendish minions and cast lethal curses on their foes. Through the use of life force, they can enter Death Shroud to unleash powerful necrotic spells. Necromancers are also able to support their allies through the use of blood magic. Mesmers are enchanting casters, versed in illusions and glamours to deal with foes and buff allies. Summoning illusions allows the Mesmer to shatter them for various effects. If you're looking for a unique type of caster, give Mesmer a try. My biggest tip for any new player would be to play the class that excites you the most, from a visual and thematic perspective. Especially because any class can be built into any combat role you're looking to play. Falling in love with the aesthetic and gameplay of a class should be your first priority. But if you are looking for tips of ease, the Warrior, Ranger, and Necromancer are very beginner-friendly, with many tools to increase survivability. Each class can be built to be easier, but these classes get a little extra help earlier on. Finishing your character creation, you will step into the world of Tyria and be faced with your first story mission, where you must defend your home from the encroaching enemies. Here, you can get your bearings, interacting with NPCs and mission objectives, beginning the fundamentals of combat with your weapon skills and dodging, and facing off against your first large-scale boss. This instance focuses on setting up the story of Guild Wars 2 and only scratches the very tip of action combat you will experience as you level. Once you finish the first instance, you are set loose into the open world. Now, you might have noticed that this game releases you into the wild and doesn't hold your hand through it, but fret not, I'm here to give you a bit of guidance and direction in your leveling experience. First and foremost, Guild Wars 2 is a story-heavy game, and you might wonder where the next story mission is. As of recording, the personal story is segmented and available every 10 levels you earn. When you reach level 10, 20, 30, and so on, that chapter of story will unlock. So, leveling doesn't just reward you with increased stats or skills, but also good chunks of your character's story. Now, you might be wondering how to level, as there are no classic quest givers in the game. Well, exploration is at the heart of Guild Wars 2, and each map is filled with a variety of objectives that all give you chunks of XP. These objectives are classified as heart quests, waypoints, which are the fast travel system, points of interest, hero challenges, and vistas. Heart quests, or their official title, Renowned Hearts, are Guild Wars 2's most direct form of questing. Heart quests are areas where you can help local villagers, farmers, militaries, or various other secondary races with their conflicts and tasks. Heart quests are bars you fill, often by doing a few tasks in an area, be it killing, collecting, object interacting, reviving NPCs, or completing various minigames. Heart quests have an NPC with a heart above their head and are marked on your map. You do not need to talk to these NPCs to begin or finish a quest, though a couple might require it, but you can talk to them to get more info if needed. Once you finish the heart, the NPC becomes a vendor where you can buy or sell various gear. Completing hearts is a standard way to quickly earn XP, but you also might run into dynamic events which pop up while exploring the world. Dynamic events come in a variety of event types and are marked with an orange border on your map. Some event types include elimination, defense, escort, holding an objective, collect and return events, or world boss encounters. These events are public, which draw in crowds of players to complete them. Doing them in or near a heart quest often gives you credit for both the dynamic event and the heart, netting you a huge amount of XP to level up faster. These events also help tell the story of the local zone and give you more context as to what is happening. Waypoints are the fast travel system in the game and grant you a healthy chunk of XP when you first discover them. Points of interest are areas of lore or gameplay import. Hero challenges are challenges which give you XP and skill points to gain more skills and traits to customize your character. Vistas are small cinematics of the environment and grant you XP as well. Seeing a pattern here? Along with the general heart questing and dynamic event experience, each character has a more traditional quest log known as the Adventure Guide. This guide is to assist in directing players to various elements of the game, while granting them large amounts of XP for doing tasks. Some of these tasks include weapon swapping, using profession mechanics, completing hearts, viewing vistas, gathering materials in the world, using your bank, and even additional XP for leveling up. So, if you are looking to level up through exploring, pressing the M key to check what you still need to complete on the map is one method of leveling. But feel free to hop around to various maps to experience what other zones are like. Combat is dynamic, thoughtful, and impactful. Utilizing your dodge ability, positioning your attacks, and knowing when to go on the defensive can mean the difference between victory and defeat. For each class, your skills are divided into weapon skills, profession mechanics, and utility skills. Weapon skills are on the left-hand side of your bar, and utility are on the right. Each class has a variety of weapons to fit your playstyle. These weapons give the player a set amount of skills unique to their class. Two-handed weapons give you the full 5 skills, but for a one-handed weapon, you only get 3. This means you'll also have to equip an offhand weapon to get the last 2 skills. Main hand and offhand weapons give you a bit more customization of your skills. Most classes also have access to weapon swapping when they reach level 10, granting them access to more weapon skills on the fly. Along with the skills at the bottom of your bar, each class comes with its own profession mechanic, which offers unique gameplay approaches. For example, warriors build adrenaline to unleash burst skills, while elementalists switch attunements to cast more spells, and rangers control their pets through the use of their profession commands. These abilities are often bound to the F1 to F5 keys. Utility skills are gained and unlockable once you reach level 11 and onwards. By pressing H and going to your training tab, you can learn specific skills for your class. These can be mixed and matched freely, something that differentiates them from weapon skills. Training these abilities grants you additional healing, utility, and elite skills to use. Along with training skills, the training tab gives you access to your class's specializations at level 21. These act as your talent/trait trees. For each class, you have specializations for various gameplay roles: strike damage, condition damage, which is damage over time, defense, support, and class mechanic enhancements. Once you train and learn a specialization, head over to the Build sub-tab in the Hero panel and equip the spec into your build. You start out with only being able to equip one, but by level 71, you are able to have 3 specs equipped at a time. Gear comes in various styles to decorate your character and qualities. These qualities are known as basic, fine, masterwork, rare, exotic, ascended, and legendary. As you level, you may notice that the game does not give you a static set of stats for your class's gear. This is because every class can be built into any role. This is primarily done through skills and traits, but also through the stats of your gear. For the various stats, here are a few names to keep in mind for their associated role. Power for damage, condition damage also for damage but damage over time, healing power for healers, and toughness and vitality for those looking to build a tank or more bruisery character. These are some of the primary stat types you might want to keep in mind, but know that you cannot individually pick and choose stats. Gear stats are put together in groups called attributes. Gear will either have or ask you to select an attribute, to then give your character a set of those stats. Some attributes to keep in mind for various roles would include Berserker or Valkyrie for power, Carrion or Viper for condition damage, Magi or Harrier for healers, and Soldier or Knights for bruisers and tanks. You have the choice to go for one attribute to fully focus on those stats, or you can combine a couple different attributes to balance out multiple character stats. I briefly mentioned this, but it's important to note. While leveling, the game will sometimes give you gear without stats applied to it. When this happens, you must right-click the equipment and customize the attribute type yourself. Now, with lower level gear, the names are more basic as they don't give you as strong of or as many stats. Gear can be acquired through playing the game normally, farming dungeons, bought on the trading post, or by crafting pieces yourself. No matter the method, focus on getting the most appropriate armor for your build and level. With all this talk about skills and gear affecting your role, what are those roles you can play? Guild Wars 2 approaches gameplay roles a little differently than other MMOs, as any class can play any role. And for the fact that only 2 of the 3 standard Trinity roles are really supported: damage and healing. Playing a damage role means you're focused on dealing high amounts of damage, either through strike damage or by applying conditions, Guild Wars 2's damage over time system. Playing a healing role means you're focused on keeping your team alive, be it through raw healing, healing over time, or through granting barriers to shield them. You also are often applying buffs via the Boons system, but dealing damage is still as important for a healer as it can be for a damage dealer. Currently, these 2 roles even branch to another type of support category in endgame, as these forms of content require players to have the boons alacrity and quickness to achieve the most amount of damage possible in-game. This means you can be a DPS who also brings either boon, and you'll always be a healer that brings one of these 2 boons. For the other long-neglected role of the standard MMO Trinity, tanks are not often prioritized in endgame instances. Some encounters do require a tank-like character who manages boss positioning, but it isn't properly seen as its own role with unique parameters. You can still build a character to be more tank-like in open world, or in more relaxed forms of content if you're looking to survive, or have a chance of gaining aggro. The taunt condition does shift aggro, but it is currently woefully underutilized and only exists on 4 skills. Yes, I'm a taunt apologist. Instanced dungeon content unlocks at level 30, and more become available as you level up. These dungeons present more challenging encounters than you would find in the open world, and are designed to be played with a party of 5. Story mode dungeons are the first version to be unlocked, but the explorable paths of dungeons unlock 5 levels after that appropriate story mode. Story mode is used to tell the story of the Destiny's Edge Guild and help players level. Explorable paths have players fight different boss encounters and are played to farm up dungeon currency to buy unique armor and weapons at the dungeon vendor in the capital city, Lion's Arch. To access dungeons, players can head to the dungeon entrance, or go to Lion's Arch and speak with the dungeon's NPC to teleport straight to the instance. For the core game experience, once you reach max level, players focus on playing those explorable paths to farm dungeon currency to get higher level armor. At max level, players will want to acquire exotic quality armor, as this is the armor which allows you to play almost all content types. Another form of dungeon content people will run are fractal dungeons. These dungeons utilize a tier system where the dungeons progressively get more challenging. These dungeons are the main form of endgame 5-player content and have various challenge modes associated with them. As I had mentioned, exotic gear lets you play almost all content, and this is absolutely true, but in fractals, players will want to focus on ascended gear, which gives them just a little bump in overall stats, but importantly, allows them to equip Agony Resistance. This is currently the game's progression check system for new players entering fractal dungeons. More Agony Resistance allows you to play the higher tiers of fractal dungeons. Raids are 10-player max level encounters, which offer some of the most challenging boss fights and coolest looking armor and weapon sets. At the time of recording, encounters are named between Raid Wings and Strike Missions, where strikes are just single boss encounters. This system is being homogenized to just be known as Raid Encounters across the board. Some Raid Encounters are designed for a quickness and ease, where the encounter will be one boss, and other encounters will be entire wings of multiple bosses that span over a large map. Most Raid Encounters are exclusive to expansion ownership, but there is one Raid Encounter for free-to-play players, via the Old Lion's Court raid. To access raids, players will head to the Aerodrome in the Lion's Arch map. With so many game modes and activities to partake in, using the Looking for Group tool, or LFG for short, is going to be your biggest asset. At the moment of writing, the LFG is accessible through the Contacts and LFG tab. This LFG is more akin to a public bulletin board where players will advertise their parties or squads for the type of content they're looking to do. For newer players, you might be interested in the Dungeons tab to more easily advertise and find parties. Additionally, the Central Tier tab can be a nice catch-all area if you're looking for some more general help or to search for world bosses. It is always proper etiquette to join parties and squads for what they are specifically looking for, and to say a quick hello message telling them the role you are playing if they are asking for it. If you have made it to level 80, congratulations! You have made it to the end of your leveling journey, but not the end of your Guild Wars 2 journey. Reaching max level is just the start of countless adventures, treasures to find, and memories to make. Take a moment to celebrate your accomplishment, gather your desired gears, and customize your build, because we have much more to do. Depending on the type of player you are, you can go into various directions in terms of PvE content, this being legendary crafting, raids and dungeons, and of course, the expansions. Legendary gear is some of the most dazzling and detailed gear you can get, and you can start working towards it the moment you begin playing. Through exploring and completing all open world maps, you can accomplish world completion, which gives you a specific crafting material to craft legendary weapons. So even while leveling in the lower levels, you are progressing your legendary journey. But what exactly is legendary gear? And why do players go for it? Legendary gear does not offer you more power or stats compared to ascended gear, but it does offer you the incredible convenience of changing your gear's attributes at any moment. Meaning you do not need to craft multiple sets of armor or weapons, just one and done. Legendary gear is also shared amongst all your characters in the Legendary Armory, so you don't have to unequip and send them over to a new character every time. Legendary gear is also some of the most beautiful in the game, and set with their own combat effects and animations and sometimes kill effects. Legendary gear is a massive reward for dedication and time playing this game. I've briefly mentioned dungeons and raids in their respective chapters, but it's worth noting them here as it is at this point in the game where many players will begin to play these types of content. Farming and playing the explorable dungeons allows you to save up dungeon currency to purchase exotic armor and skins, which then allows you to progress into the realms of fractal dungeons. Now these dungeons are the main dungeon type in the game, so most of the players are doing these daily and weekly. A good amount of fractal dungeons have challenge modes for their boss encounters and offer unique rewards. Raid encounters also become a staple. The Old Lion's Court raid will be the only free-to-play raid available, but once you get the expansions, so many more become available. If you are looking to play raids, I'd recommend purchasing the Heart of Thorns and Path of Fire expansion bundle deal, as you get quite a few of them with that purchase. Link is in the description. Are you a story and open world lover? Well, expansions are where the quality of Guild Wars 2's story and map design ramp up to 100. The leveling zones you experience are a softer pacing, and try not to overwhelm you too much. But once you get to the expansions, you'll be ready for a greater challenge and more cinematic world bosses. The first 3 expansions are known as the Dragon Cycle story, but the rest beyond that each have their own individually contained storylines, with familiar characters popping up along the way. It can be difficult to give a proper guide to each expansion in a video such as this, as there's just so much to cover, but here's a brief summary of each expansion and its region. Heart of Thorns takes the player character into the region of the Maguma jungle and has you facing off against the jungle dragon, Mordramoth. Path of Fire has us track down and fight against the rogue human god Balthazar, as he heads to the desert region of Alona, which also happens to be the nesting grounds of the crystal dragon Kralkatorrik. End of Dragons sends us to the long closed-off continent of Cantha, a land rife with history and magic. Here, the story of the dragons culminates in a dark and touching experience. With the dragons dealt with, the commander goes on an unexpected adventure, becoming a key player in a storyline where mysterious wizards and encroaching demons face off in a battle for the world in secrets of the obscure. Janthier Wilds sees those wizards reveal themselves to the rest of the world as Tyria enters a new age. And in this new age, the world joins together in the Tyrian Alliance. The player's first mission is to head to Janthier to establish ties with the lowland Coden, and in doing so, wraps themselves up in thwarting a titanic threat. And at the time of writing, Visions of Eternity is the newest expansion hitting the shelves October 28th, 2025. Tracking down the malicious group of Asura known as the Inquest, we head to a magically enshrouded land known as Castora. What or who it is we will find there lies in wait. If you're looking to pick up any of these Guild Wars 2 adventures, feel free to use my links in the description. It greatly helps the channel. Along with new story, armor, weapons, mounts, maps, and map-wide meta events, Guild Wars 2 expansions also offer a fan-favorite feature known as Elite Specializations. You might recall that each class has a collection of core specializations. Well, in expansions, ArenaNet pushes the limits of what a class can do by giving each class an elite specialization. These elite specs are essentially subclasses for each class, giving players new weapons, utility skills, trait lines, and profession mechanics to play around with and customize to fit their playstyles. Elite specs arrived with the first 3 expansions, Heart of Thorns, Path of Fire, and End of Dragons. The expansions Secrets of the Obscure and Janthier Wilds did not introduce new elite specs, but instead added new weapons and freed up elite spec weapons, allowing them to be used across any elite spec or spec type. The newest expansion, Visions of Eternity, is returning to tradition and giving each class a new elite specialization, only this time without a new weapon. Elite specs seek to provide strong gameplay shifts and expand the themes of a class. Some elite specs focus on increasing the damage of a class, some the healing and group support, and some of them seek to bolster the survivability of a class. To get a full look at the elite specialization system, you can head on over to the Guild Wars 2 wiki and search up your desired class. With so much of this video talking about PvE, I wanted to briefly touch on PvP and World vs. World. Players can access PvP and World vs. World at any time, as these game modes automatically scale a character to max level. PvP focuses on smaller scale combat between two teams, while World vs. World has teams of 3 face off against multiple large-scale maps, competing to hold castles and keeps. PvP has its own set of strategies and rules that shift with various balance patches, but it's always fast-paced and entertaining. Each game mode comes with unique weapons and armor skins to acquire. Guild Wars 2 is truly a massive game, with so much to entertain yourself with. Be it slaying dragons, adventuring into the deepest of dungeons, or conjuring up your perfect design for a class, Guild Wars 2 has it. Thank you so much for watching, and feel free to save this video to come back to it at any time. Share this video with any friends or family who are looking to find a home in their next game. Additionally, links will be attached in the description and comment section to help you try Guild Wars 2 for free, purchase any expansions, and to utilize the game's Wikipedia. Like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me over on Twitch, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye everyone. Mwah.